Hey y'all, Quabila Jones here, host of the Q Spot podcast. Make sure to be intentional with your words, your thoughts, and your actions. And please subscribe, like, follow, share, and hit the notification bell. With special guest Jeff Gibbs of the Jeff Gibbs Quartet discussing all that jazz. Hey y'all, QB here, host of the Q Spot podcast. Welcome to another edition of the video series with my very special guest, Mr. Jeff Gibbs, a quarter of the Jeff Gibbs Quartet. How are you doing today?
I'm wonderful. How are you?
I am wonderful, and I just want to first say thank you for granting me this interview. I know you don't really know me, but I'm just trying to get everyone on board with your music. Before we get too far, I want to let everyone know what the title is. It's All That Jazz, because you are a jazz musician. And I was so excited when I ran across your music that to hear that someone, that's not over 50 is keeping jazz alive and well and playing in the airwaves. And so before we get too deep into, what you're doing right now, let's go back a little bit and talk about how did you get into music? And who were some of your influences?
Wow, thanks. I'm glad to be here. This is it's definitely a humbling experience when, like you said, we don't know each other well. When someone really is interested in your craft and your gift and your message and all those fun things. So I appreciate that. For one, music for me started, I guess, the classic way, right? Like grew up in church, so I had aunts, uncles, cousins that all were into music. And then it moved over to when I was in fifth grade. In grammar school, I actually started playing saxophone in fifth grade. Why? I honestly couldn't tell you why. I just felt like it was a cool instrument, and I got lucky, and it was the instrument for me. And so that's kind of how it started. And then I was playing in church, and that was weird, a saxophonist in church. But, it kind of gave me a place to be. And, that's kind of how it all started, in church. And so it's kind of giving me my musical background a whole lot.
Okay. And, now saxophones and other instruments are becoming more mainstream in churches. I've seen 2 saxophone players here in the city that I live in. I'm in Arkansas. So people are starting to pick up different instruments besides just the piano and the organ and the keyboard.
Absolutely. I love it.
Right,
You gotta respect the horns. You gotta respect the horns.
Look, I respect you all that have the wind power to blow those instruments and hold those notes and key changes and all that stuff. Like, kudos to y'all.
It's a gift. I don't know how I do it either sometimes.
So I know this is a totally off the cuff silly question, but do you practice, do you prep in some type of way to play your instrument, or you just get it up?
I mean, I do because I like to approach music and my craft like an athlete. Growing up, that's where I started. I played a lot of sports, played baseball, football, basketball. And so naturally, when I realized that wasn't going to be my career path, a lot of those things I had to translate over. And that was one of them. So I do take a lot of training seriously. I do run for purpose. There are a lot of breathing exercises that I like to do. I don't think it's completely necessary because I know there are a lot of people that don't do that. And don't need to. But I think it's important. I think so, to just take care of those lungs, take care of your body, because it's a lot of work. You're right. It's a lot of work to day in and day out to be playing your instrument at that level. And constantly using those lungs to that level. I definitely feel it when I don't work out and then I try to play. It doesn't feel the same. So, definitely something that I like to do.
All right. Well, I want to get into, what shows are like, what you've been doing. I definitely get into that, but I just want people to get to know a little bit of the background. Yeah. So how did the quartet come to be? Like, were you at first playing by yourself? How did you run into these guys that you're playing with?
Yeah.
And let's introduce them as well, even though they're not here.
Yeah. Those guys are my brothers. Those are my brothers. DJ, who's the drummer, Jimmy the bass player, and Cleo the keyboard player. I've known those guys since I guess since about college, a little bit before college, 17, 18 years old. And just really meeting them on the scene. I would imagine that we were kind of going about our paths the same way, you know, coming out of high school, going into college, trying to really discover who we were as musicians, who we were, what we wanted to do musically and things like that. And it kind of, I met all those guys at Columbia College. And the scene for me really started there. Met a lot of people, a lot of musicians. And it's funny because I didn't go to Columbia. I was not enrolled there. I didn't graduate from there, but I definitely sat in on a lot of classes. I definitely was around a lot of my friends that went there.
Okay.
But that's where we met, you know, for a guy coming out of high school and still being in the area. I went to community college right out of high school. Okay. So I had friends that went to Columbia, and I spent a lot of time there. And that's kind of where we all met. The Quartet is actually a small branch off of this other project called Future. Future is a band that was formed from my drummer, DJ.
Okay.
And it's like this 20-piece band that has, you know, orchestra and a horn section and all this other stuff, right? So it's really cool, really cool. And from that band, I kind of just took the core members, you know, the drummer, the keyboard player, the bass player, and was like, you know, let's do our thing also over here. And like I said, those are my brothers. And those guys were down from the very beginning and have been down ever since. It's funny because I am the youngest in that band. So I kind of just use a joke and just say it's like my big brothers let me be in the front, you know, because I am the youngest. And I don't think I make a lot of decisions for my own band.
Okay.
But
it's your band, but not really.
Yeah, they just let me stand up there.
Okay.
Yeah, that's kind of how I started from the very beginning in school, being around each other. And they've been the same stand-up, 100% great guys that I've known from the beginning, from the very beginning. So, yeah.
Awesome. Now, I know music has evolved in so many ways, and I keep wanting to get stuck in this age thing. However, we have seen that music also has no age limit, no matter what type of music it is. And so while I ask this question, I know people are going to be like, what does it matter? But how did you get involved in jazz? Like, usually, I'm going to say from my generation, and not that I'm a lot older than you, but I got a few years on you. People in my age gap and older are really into jazz. You know, my first introduction to jazz was Nancy Wilson. Oh my God. My brother had a Bose speaker system with curated music. Like it, basically you pick channels and it just played music. And I heard Nancy Wilson, Do You Still Think About Me or Dream About Me? And I was hooked from day one.
Yeah.
And I was like 12 then.
Wow.
But I'm way older now. Anywho, so how did you at your age or at that time get involved in jazz? And like, how do you keep it fresh?
I mean, for me, well, first of all, that's a very good question. And I think that there's a lot of debate to that question. But my answer, first of all, my position is that jazz is only the interpretation of who you are.
Okay.
It's your free interpretation of who you are. I feel like too often you get caught up on the chronological portion of jazz, like, you know, what it was in the 50s, what it was in the 70s, what it was in the 90s, what it was in the 40s. And too often I think we get caught up in that space. I like to tell people that, you know, jazz for me, I mean, I play saxophone. That's just the avenue I took. As far as my musical background, it's been hip hop,
Okay.
R&B, and gospel. So sometimes I have no choice because it's in my DNA to lean on the R&B world or to lean on the hip hop world. The only thing that's jazz about it is the instrumentation, right?
Okay.
It's really just the fact that it's a saxophonist with, you know, a three-piece band with the drums and the bass and the piano, and traditionally that's the jazz sound.
Okay.
But for me, it's like, you know, jazz for me is whatever, you know, I want to play, is whatever I what my interpretation is of what it is. I mean, it's very difficult to corral it because it's so free. And I think the more we start to understand that as a community, as a music community, that it's not more or less about the year. It's not more or less about like when you discover jazz. Because funny enough, the in the write up for my album was that this may not be the jazz. I always mess this up too, but I think it's I'm not even gonna say it, but it's more or less been like this isn't the jazz you think. This isn't the jazz you think that it is, because, you know, typically when you think about jazz, you think about granddad, you think about whiskey, you think about a cigar, you think about, you know, singing in a jazz club. And while all those vibes are beautiful and those things are what kind of create the base of where we come from, it's still like it's new now because I don't have, you know, I'm 33. I'm not a granddad. I don't smoke cigars all the time. I don't sip on whiskey, and I don't, you know, the closest genre to me isn't, you know, blues or something like that. It's different.
Yeah.
And I think the only thing, and I wonder how many people feel this way, but the only thing really that makes it quote unquote jazz about it is the instrumentation. And I think that we should enjoy the fact that we have the ability to recreate and to repurpose a lot of things musically. And I think that's the definition of jazz, is the freedom. Is not having any walls, not it's just like you can play exactly what you want. I hope it makes sense, but you can play exactly what you want. And it's the freedom of interpretation, it's the freedom of expression.
Okay.
And yeah.
Do you feel that the music industry, I know they create these genres for the sake of sales and other statistics, and, you know, I'm not in the music industry that deep, but I do know there's a method to their madness of why they create these genres. Do you feel that at some point in time these genres should just be broken down, like the lines, the boundaries should be done away with, and it's like it's just music, not jazz, hip. It's music.
Sure. I mean, I over the last year and a half, I've been having conversations with people close to me about the music we've been making, right? Like what would you call this? And one of them has been futuristic soul. And it's like, I know that kind of adds more to it, right? Like it's like another genre. But the thing is that I think that really came from a space of thinking that I don't know what we're making. We're making music, right? So I do feel like while they need those genres there for people not like you and me, because that's what it really is, right? We need those genres there for people that just listen to music because they need music. Yeah. Listen to music just because they need something to play in the office, just need something to play at work, just they need to know what it is. I feel like as creators, we shouldn't fall into that category. We should continue to create music or create things that are just close to us. And if the world defines it, fine. But just hang your hat on knowing what you created. And that's where I'm at with it. You know, a long time ago, somebody tried to define my music as something called organic jazz, organic hip hop. Organic hip hop. And I liked it. At the same time, It's like, okay. I mean, I don't think that means I'm going to continue to try to make organic hip hop. But it's more or less about creating what comes to me, and that's what that's what that's where we need to stay, is just allowing these artists and creatives to create. If someone needs to call it something, fine. But as long as the creator doesn't get too stuck in that, we just have to have it. I wish we didn't. I wish I could open up my iTunes and music just plays. But you know, we need it. We need it. It's like it's like the thing about food, right? You can't just call it food. You need Italian food, Mexican food. You need, you know, Albanian food. You need Mediterranean food. So
yeah,
I love food. I'll just eat food, but
okay, whatever tastes good. And I'm glad. Thank you for the message earlier, because I'm a writer. God didn't give me the gift to play instruments or sing, so I write.
okay.
And I often find myself comparing myself to my other writer friends. They have different flow patterns than I do when it comes to their poetry or spoken word. And I always find myself saying, I wish I could, I would. And then I have to stop, like, just do what you do, how you do it, and let people receive it how they receive it.
Absolutely.
So thank you for that message. All right, so now you have this group together. You all are performing. Give me some highlights. What has been some of your, I don't know, best performances or most standout? Like, what are some of the most memorable moments along this journey for you?
That's funny. Best performances. I would have no idea. But I mean, I know one thing that stands out for me always, and it would never go away. It would never go away. Will be one of our first shows that we ever did together as the Jeff Gibbs Quartet. I think it was probably 2013 or 14 at this club in Chicago that's now closed. Not necessarily due to the pandemic, but it's just closed.
Okay.
Called the Double Door Chicago, and Robert Glasper was performing, and a friend of mine was one of the promoters. Friend of mine from high school. I'll never forget this. This is kind of like, to me, this would kind of be like the thing that kind of put me. God told me this is what I'm supposed to be doing. Quick story. I remember I had a rehearsal one night. I'll answer your question. I had a rehearsal one night, and long story not so long, I got robbed, and I lost. Somebody stole my saxophone, stole my laptop out of my car. It was broken into my car, and I went about a month and a half without a saxophone, really trying to figure out like what I was gonna do. And I remember about a month and a half into that, a friend of mine hit me up. This 2021. This is probably about 2013. And so I hadn't talked to this guy since high school. I went to high school with this guy. I hadn't talked to him in about another 8 years, since 2005. And so he hits me up and he's like, "Hey man, I'm doing this." So he's a DJ now, and he's like, "I'm doing this show, and you know, I would really want you to open for it." And I'm like, "Bro, I don't know if you know, but you know, I got robbed. I don't have no saxophone. I don't have nothing." And he's like, "It's cool. Don't worry about it. I have another show where I'm going to take all the money from that show and give it to you." and this is a guy I hadn't talked to in like 8 years at the time.
Wow.
And I was like, that's crazy. Like, okay, cool, let's do it. So we did that show, raised all this money, because of course I was irresponsible. I didn't have car insurance and all those other things to take care of my saxophone getting stolen out of my car. But you know, my friends helped me and they looked out for me, and that was a real blessing. And that happened, and then literally a month later was one of the biggest, most important shows of my life. Was at the Double Door, opening up for Robert Glasper, who had just won a Grammy for an R&B, for his Black Radio album. So it was so surreal. to be in there literally just playing my saxophone with my friends and this crowd of 500, 600 people sold out. And that to me, and that was the beginning. That was the very, very first show. And I think that was, you know, I'm a spiritual person, and that was God's way of showing me, like, this is what's up. This is what could happen if you just, you know, just follow what you're supposed to do and follow my instructions, because that was the most surreal experience for me.
Wow.
And I didn't do anything to deserve that, right? Like, I mean, I was very irresponsible leading up to that moment. And still in that, it was like, yo, here go all these people ready to listen to your music, and you don't have no album out, you don't have nothing out. And here they are.
Wow.
And it was beautiful. It feels great every time I hit the stage with my guys, because every single time we're blessed. Like I said this morning, I found out that we were sold out for our show, and that happened in 9 days.
Amazing.
So right, beautiful things where it's like I think I have the best band in the world. I really do. I think that like I really, really do. Jimmy, Cleo, DJ, those guys are some of the best musicians I've ever been around. Like the most talented guys, the most talented. So I feel blessed every time I get to hit the stage with them. I feel blessed every time, you know, we do anything together, that I can share that gift with everybody. Like those are my guys. So it's always good. I kind of feel like, again, the proud little brother when I get to show them off, you know, where it's like these are my guys. So every time we hit the stage is probably at that moment the best performance for me. So I'm really looking forward to this weekend. I was on the phone with DJ earlier, and we're really looking forward to it. Really looking forward to the opportunity to play again with people.
Right.
That's the thing. It's like I was telling D, I was like, man, I've been in the crib, I've been playing. You know, I've done all these studio sessions, but it's definitely different when you're playing with those people right there. And so definitely looking forward to that. And so my favorite performance right now is going to be the one on Saturday.
And that's right.
Yeah. Yeah, for sure.
I want to tell people how I became familiar with you. On Instagram, scrolling, and I ran across a post by, I don't know if it was Leroy's Hawkins' post or someone else's post.
Yeah.
Anyway, at the time he was like this ambassador for, oh gosh, American Red Cross. Is it American Red Cross?
Okay, yeah, Salvation Army, yeah.
Salvation Army. Oh my God, please forgive me.
Same
Salvation
thing.
Army. And so there was this video of you all out there, and I know it's cold in Chicago. Oh my God,
yeah.
It's cold in Chicago.
Same
But y'all were out there on the sidewalk just jamming.
Yeah.
And I was like, okay. So I had to go to Apple, Google, wherever I could find your name, your music, look you up on Instagram. And then I saw you had an album that came out called Last Summer.
Mm-hmm.
And so started listening to the album. I'm like, okay, I am really digging this. And then you had some other songs and collaborations come out. And so, of course, I added everything to my playlist. And so time went on. And so then I'm like, okay, now after I started my podcast, looking for a guest interview, and I ran across you again by chance. And I'm like, I got to get an interview with you. I want to know more about your story because I love jazz. And I know I'm not trying to put you in a jazz box, but like I love your music. And I feel like other people should get to know who you are and fall in love with your music too.
I mean, that's wonderful. I mean, that makes me feel so good. I think, and it's really not. I don't want to make it about me at all.
Well, the group.
That's wonderful. I feel humbled. I'm grateful, because I always feel like I'm doing what I'm supposed to do, like, and doing what I can do, and you know, sometimes as a musician, as a creator, as a creative, it may feel like you're not doing enough. And it may feel like that what you're doing doesn't matter, or what you're doing nobody cares about. So to hear those words of encouragement, to hear that my music has translated, makes me feel great, because that's exactly what I'm doing it for. I've told my band when I first started that my ideal crowd would consist of an 85-year-old white woman sitting next to a 25-year-old black man.
Okay.
They're both vibing to No Church in the Wild from Jay-Z and Kanye West.
Okay.
Because like we said, music shouldn't be about, a time period. It should be about a feeling.
Yeah.
And that's and if you can touch people that way, I think that's beautiful, because I'm a very soft spoken person sometimes.
Okay.
And if my music can translate, and if someone can understand how I'm feeling through the music, I feel like that's the most important thing ever. Like, forget anything I've ever had to say. Forget anything I say in between songs. If you can understand my feeling through the music and the story that we're trying to tell through the music, that'll make me make another 3 albums.
Well, come on with it. Let me spend my coins on something valuable. Okay.
Yeah.
Oh goodness. And so here we are. You have a show coming up. Finally, after all this COVID mess,
Man,
you're getting to perform in front of people, and the show is sold out. So by the time you all watch this video, sorry, no more tickets, but stay tuned.
It'll be all over.
Stay tuned. Hopefully there will be more shows booked after this.
Definitely want to do a show for my birthday in June 24th.
Okay. So, you have to. Like, after all we've been through, being stuck in the house and quarantine and isolating, all that jazz. You have to do something.
Got to.
For your birthday. I want to go back a little bit and talk about, and this is one thing I want people that are just starting out, trying to find their way in whatever creative path they're on. That moment when that person called you and said, I want you to do this show. And you said, well, I don't have a saxophone. And they were like, don't worry about all that. Mm-hmm. What if you simply had said, no, I can't do it. And you didn't give your reason why you can't. And you turned down that opportunity. Just imagine what path your life could have taken.
I can't imagine.
You might not be here like now. I mean, we never know what God has in store for us. However, our choices can deter, delay, mm-hmm. take us around the long way to get to where God has for us to be. But what if you just said, no, I can't do it?
Well, I mean, I kind of mean that for real. I can't imagine. I really can't. I can't, because we've all had those thoughts, right? Like, what if I didn't do this? What if I didn't do that? And there have been times where I'm like, I just can't see Jeff doing that. I think a long time ago, I really made up in my mind that, like, I want to play music. I want to play saxophone. I'm good at saxophone, and this is it. I've had some friends that passed away, and I don't mean to get emotional, but I had some friends pass away that, like, really believed in my gift from the beginning, mm-hmm. like before I had gigs, like that really believed in me, and like it's I refuse. That's the thing. It's like, once you've decided what it is, you can't tell nobody nothing. Once you decide what you want to do, it's a wrap. And I think that's what happened. I mean, sure, I didn't realize that's what was happening. Especially when I was younger, 19, 20, 21, still trying to navigate space. But But now looking at it, I had the mindset where it was, I don't really care what anybody else has done or what anybody else says the right path is or what you should do or when you shouldn't do it. But it's really been like, this is where I'm supposed to be. And I'll credit my parents for that.
Okay.
I was telling my mom the other day, like, she kind of instilled this like, just go do it attitude.
Okay.
Both of my parents, my dad and my mom, kind of just instilled this naivety where it was like, you can just do it. Like, just if you think about it, just do it. And the worst thing that's gonna happen is that it's not gonna work. That's the worst thing. I remember recording a song for somebody last year. One of my good homies, his name is Roe. ROE stands for Rising Over Envy. And we were in a session and he had me there for a whole nother song. And I recorded the song and he wanted me to listen to some other stuff and was listening to other records. And I'm like, maybe I should play on this. Long story not so long. He was apprehensive. And I said, man, the worst thing we can do is delete it. The worst thing that can happen is delete it. And that's kind of how I approach my life. Is like, you know, the worst thing that can happen is that it's wrong. And then we'll fix it. Like, there's always a solution to every problem. So, and I think I got that from my parents, where it was like, Jeff, just go for it. This is, you have one life, just go for it. That's something I've learned as I've gotten older. Also, is that you have one life. Like, it's, after a while, there's gonna stop. After a while, people are gonna stop pushing you to the next direction.
Mm-hmm.
Like, you know, it's like we grow up. We have kindergarten, first grade, second grade. We have middle school. We have high school. We have college, and everyone's kind of pushing you to the next place you're supposed to be. And after a while, no one's going to push you anymore, and no one is really going to care, you know, if you get this job or if you pay these bills on time. They just going to turn your phone off. They just going to turn your lights off. No one cares.
Well,
and I think that's one of the things that I just, my parents just really instilled in me to just go get it, just go do. And sometimes it's going to be hard. It's been very difficult. Sometimes it's been a lot of questions that I've had to ask, where it's like, is this what I'm supposed to be doing? Is this where I'm supposed to be? And I've kind of looked at a lot of those hurdles as hurdles, where it's like, Jeff, you just got to do it, bro. It's just a rite of passage. You know, it's just something you got to do to get to the next level. It's going to be difficult, right? Because we've all heard the statement, like, if it was easy, everybody would do it.
Yeah.
And it's one of those things where it's like, I've just decided where every time it gets difficult, it's like, this is the next level. I have to get over this next level. I have to beat this level. I have to. I feel like music is where I'm supposed to be. And I'm grateful for the gift. And I feel like every time it gets difficult, I just ask God to give me more strength to activate more. Where it's like, this is where I'm supposed to be. This is definitely not the bottom of the mountain for me, right? You know, this is definitely the bottom of the mountain for me. Like, I feel like I have so much more
to go.
You know, I feel like this is the beginning. I mean, if you ask any entrepreneur or anybody, you know, they'll feel like this is the beginning of some of the things that they're trying to accomplish. And so in knowing that, I know that there's going to be so much more. So I found myself the space to embrace the difficult spaces, because it's going to get hard. And I could have easily just went to college for 4 years and just got a degree doing something, but I wouldn't have been happy. Like, I have lawyer friends and doctor friends tell me, I'm so glad. Like, I admire you so much because you stuck to your music. They make way more money than me, but they'll still tell me. And that's what kind of lets me know they're like, cool, I am doing the right thing, because I would be miserable if I was a lawyer. I would. I'd be a bad lawyer and I'd be miserable.
Wow. You are preaching to me, because look, okay, so I'll share I'm over 40, love it like that. Not that close to 50, but still over 40. And I feel like there are times in my life where I'm behind the curve. And I have to remind myself there is a curve. Like there is no by this age you have to have done this,
Right.
this, and this.
Right. No.
It's wherever you are, do what you can. And so I have to remind myself also of the scriptures that says God will restore your the years. And so once I decide, Quabila, okay, it's time to get in gear and, use your God-given gifts. I love to talk. I love the chit chat. So it's like, here I am.
Yeah.
And once I decide to take it a lot more serious and really put my energy into it, I know the doors of opportunity are just going to open up wide. Take this thing further.
I think it's all about focusing on what you're. It's like every time you think about giving up on something, and it's funny because right before I say it, it's funny because these all sound like these little posters you see, but the thing is so true. It's like the moment you think about giving up on something, you have to remember why you started.
Yeah.
You have to. And there was a time about 2 years ago, 2.5, 3 years ago, where I thought about just stopping the whole quartet. I was like, forget it. I won't play no more music. I'm done. Forget it. Like I'll just. At the time, I was working at a butcher shop. I love it. I mean, I hated to leave those guys, but at the time I was working at a butcher shop, I was like, forget it. I'm gonna just lean into that all the way. If my friends really care about me, they'll just call me and we'll just hang out. Like, forget it. Forget the music. And yeah, it was a scary place for me. It was a really scary place, really dark place. And I remember it was a long time period. It was like 3-4 months where like I deleted everything. I was ghost. I was gone. And I remembered. I don't know where I got that quote from. Who told it to me? Because I know I didn't come up with it, but somebody told it to me, and I remembered how passionate I was and how much I cared about playing the saxophone. And it sounds simple, but I remembered how much I cared about, like I said, the 85-year-old white woman with the 25-year-old black man in the same room, and how much that mattered to me when I started. How much it really mattered, because I saw it. Like I saw the white lady next to the black man, and I was like, this is the coolest thing I've ever seen. And I remembered that original passion, and that's what constantly keeps me going, even now. Even now, when music isn't always fun, right? Because now it's my profession, and it's not something that I don't want to get up every day and work on these records that I have to do, or I don't want to get up every day and think about my music because I have so many other things going on. But I'm always reminded about why I started. I'm always reminded about my guys, about how much I care about their freedom of expression, because those guys go through stuff every day, right? Yeah. And it's like, the same therapy I have on stage is the same therapy they have. Wow. And so I dare not take that away just because I want to just be away from people and not do this music thing anymore because it's tricky and it's hard. Nobody gets anything because they stop when it's hard, right? So
yes. And I was going to ask you to, give some words of encouragement, advice. But you've been given all these gems, all these nuggets all throughout this interview. And I hope that anyone who's an aspiring musician, who's halfway through whatever journey they're on or wherever they are, I hope they are picking up something that you're putting out. Yeah. And they're taking it to heart, and they're internalizing it. And it's okay. It's hard. It's work. However, it can be very rewarding once you put the work into it. Like, I love talking. I love podcasting. I love writing. But I know, like you said, there are days when I don't want to pick up a pen. I don't want to. I want nothing. I just don't. But the thoughts are there, and I have to do something with them. So yeah.
I think it's for one, for anybody aspiring to be a creative. One thing I know, and one thing I've seen is that just you have to believe in yourself first. Have to. People, you can come with. There's been times where I know I've come with great ideas and didn't really believe in myself, and they didn't go anywhere because I didn't believe in myself first. So you have to believe in yourself. You have to. No one in this world is ever going to work as hard as you will on your dream. No one will. And you can't get mad at people for it. I can't get mad like that, you know, and that's something I had to learn over the years. Where it's like I can tell my band all day long, yeah, guys, I want to have a session, I want to work on this song, I want to do this, I want to do that. But if I don't follow up, if I'm not on top of my stuff, I dare not get upset with them. I dare not get upset with someone else about my dream. It's mine. It's yours. So you have to work on it the hardest. You will work on it the hardest. And that, to me, that's been one of those things where it's like, and that, and it's funny because it's funny. But that's why at the end of the day, when the check is cut, you get the biggest check because it was your dream and you did the most work and you sacrificed the most and you did all of that. And it's not fair. It's not fair to get upset at anybody not working on your dream as hard as you are. That's not fair. Yeah. That's like asking someone to come to your house and clean. No. Why would I come to your house and clean? It's not my house. It's not my dream. I'll work on it with you, but I'm not going to be sitting up in here cleaning by myself while you sit on this couch. You know? So, and that, to me, that's one of the realest things. A lot of creatives we're very emotional. I already know. We're very emotional. We're in our feelings all the time. We can make a thing out of anything. We can make a thing out of anything. From the number of likes we have to the number of text messages we get in a day. And the thing that I've noticed is that at the end of it all, we just have to stay focused on what we're doing. And for me, it's been music. I feel like God has given me a very, very, very clear path to take. And that's one thing that I encouraged a lot of people to find during this pandemic was, finding that space of like, what are you supposed to be doing? I remember when the pandemic first started, there were all these challenges on the internet, right? Like the drink challenge, the shot challenge, the push-up challenge, the I'm not bored challenge, the whatever challenge. And to me, of course, it was entertaining and amusing for a couple of weeks or whatever. But I started thinking, well, I was like, a lot of people that I see doing this on my timeline, so a lot of people I see doing this are 9-to-5ers. Are people that I knew had 9-to-5s. And while there's absolutely nothing wrong with the 9-to-5, I do feel like we offer more to the world than our 9-to-5s. I feel like we offer way more. That no matter what your job is, you can be a principal or you can be a chemist. I feel like we still have more to offer than what they pay us for from 9-to-5.
Yes.
And that's what I encourage people to do, is to find that space of what you're supposed to be doing for your legacy. And once you find that space on what you're supposed to be doing, I think a lot of things fall in line. Because that's happened for me, definitely. I definitely found the space for what I'm supposed to be doing. And then I didn't have any regrets. Because then that's the other thing. There's no regrets for decisions that I make most of the time. But there's no regrets for the business that I'm running, for the music and for who the Jeff Gibbs Quartet is, who Jeff Gibbs is, because I'm not really operating in myself. I'm operating in the vision that God had for me, that has for me. And I'm comfortable in that. I'm comfortable in that space. I'm comfortable in not doing gigs that don't make sense, that pay a lot of money. I'm comfortable in doing I'm comfortable in doing gigs that don't make money. The next show that we're about to do, it's not gonna put us over the top, but this is more or less the thing where it's like this is necessary. It's time for this to happen. For so many reasons, right? Take a whole nother interview for that. But I think it's important as a creative to stay tuned in what you're supposed to be doing. Stay tapped in what your journey is supposed to be, and not to be too worried about everybody else's. I've been on so many tours where when I've been asked the question, where it's been like, why am I not on that tour, or why am I not in the same room as that artist? And I've realized it took me over time to realize this. This wasn't like I just knew this. It took me the time to understand that I can't look at those people. I can't look at the gigs that they're getting. I can't look at the opportunities that they're getting, because their journey's not mine. It's just not. It's just not. It's just not. Like, no matter what your excuse is, it's just not. Like, I grew up different than those people. They grew up different than me. Their mama's different than me. My daddy's different than. It's so many variables. It's not the same journey. It just won't be. I don't care if you're in the same room on the same gig today. Y'all was meant to be in the same room on the same gig today.
That's right.
Not tomorrow. The journey is the journey. And that's one thing that over time I've had to learn to embrace, is the journey. Is the fact of like, this is what I'm supposed to be doing. And I'm supposed to be happy for my friends and the homies over there going crazy. I mean, I got homies on the Grammys. I got homies on the every award show. Dating back to 10 years ago. Right? And it's like, I could have asked the question, why am I not there? No, I'm so glad to see the homies on the show. Like, because it's like, yo, we're doing it. We're all doing this together. I stand up for Chicago every time. I think Chicago has some of the best musicians in the world, the best talent in the world.
It's cold.
It is very cold. And the next thing, anybody or from around the country or around the world, they come to Chicago, they say, you can live here, you can live anywhere.
Yeah.
And that stands for anything. That stands for the musicians. That stands for an architect. That stands for a doctor. That stands for anybody. If you can live in Chicago, you can make it anywhere. I feel like we have so much talent here. One of my goals is to definitely have a show that highlights that talent, that highlights the talent that we don't know about, the talent that we may not ever see from these towns that we feel are forgotten. So that's one of the goals of mine, and I feel like Chicago, everything rolls through Chicago. I will always feel that way. I don't see myself ever leaving. I don't. I feel like if anything, I'll move to New York or whatever. But it gets colder, right? But I feel like Chicago is amazing. I feel blessed to be here, actually. But yeah, anybody from Chicago, to me, and I've seen it around the world and around the country, is that it's a whole nother respect if you've come from Chicago. And I take that seriously, and I believe it, man. A lot of talent here, and I think if you can make it in Chicago, you can make it anywhere.
All right.
Sure. So, I didn't mean to ramble like that.
No, I love it. I love it.
There's tequila in this cup.
Look, okay. I wish our steaks were closer because I could use a little bit of that. But as we get ready to wrap up here in a little bit, I want to ask some, I guess, kind of rapid fire, off the cuff kind of questions. And I'm going to put your information on the bottom. of the screen so people can follow you.
Yeah.
Follow Jeff Gibbs Music on Instagram. You won't be disappointed. I have become a slight stalker of your stories. So don't mind me. I have two different accounts, so of course I'm looking and liking everything. But anyway,
I
all
love it.
right. So I know this is an impossible question, but do you have a favorite song or track? I know that's hard.
Oh yeah, it's impossible. The other day, I more or less like genres a lot. My favorite genre, I think, right? I mean, I think of all time is the '80s.
The 80s.
Um, you know,
Oh,
you can, yeah, I can always. Oh man, I was in the crib yesterday going through a whole bunch of tunes that I didn't even know. I have this '80s playlist. So yeah, the '80s always does it for me. But if I had to just throw one out there, favorite song, I don't think I could do it.
okay.
I don't think I could do it
Okay.
because
Well,
I
can you
listen.
name maybe your top five? Like, if you had to pick five songs in rotation to get get you going, whatever the case.
Let's see, what does my iTunes say? Let's see, what's my recently added? Um, wow, okay, and see, this goes back to the whole jazz thing is freedom of interpretation. So I've got a new song from my homie Roe, Rising Over Envy. Y'all need to check him out.
And let me go and
He's
find
um he's one of my favorite artists. He actually was on the bill at that Robert Glasper show that we did together years ago. Roe, he's probably one of my favorites. Then I got some Frank Ocean in here. I got some Lucky Day. And then I got some West Coast, some YG and Mozzie. A lot of West Coast rap. Because I feel like West Coast kind of has the sound for me. But then, we got some Shaka Khan and Don Tolliver.
Wow.
Yeah, it's a lot. It's a lot. I listen to a lot. But yeah, those would probably be my most recent influences, especially I guess for this show, because that's what I've been listening to. A lot of music to put me in the right space for Saturday. So
Alrighty. So collaborations. What have been some of your? Okay, I'm not gonna make you pick just one collaboration. Top 2 to 3 collaborations. Like you just had a total blast in the studio. Like it was just the bomb.
top 3. So I have a wish list.
Okay.
I have a wish list for my upcoming album. Let's see what this wish list says. So I got Leroyce the Voice. He's on that wish list. Roe, that I just mentioned. We got Joey Pert, another rapper from Chicago. And then Cosign, who's another major producer, but another artist that actually went to the same high school as me, but he graduated the year before I got there.
Okay.
But he's another one of the homies. And then, yeah, so that's my wish list. My wish list is very, very normal right now.
Well, you do have a few. Well, I know one song or one track with Leroy.
Yeah.
It's called Mask Off, which I really dig that.
Mask Off, yeah.
So,
that's a good one. I remember that was that wasn't even supposed to be a record. That was a random recording at a show that I did.
Really?
And, I had it out. I had it for a while, a long time. And I remember being at the studio one day, and Royce was just like, I got these bars for Mask Off, and we played the recording of the show, and he rapped to it. And again, it was one of those situations like the worst thing we can do is delete it. So
just roll with it.
Yeah, that's a good record. I'm really proud of those records. But yeah, that's cool.
Okay.
That's off.
Alrighty. So I own the wish list of cities to torment.
All of them.
Okay, look.
I mean, yeah, I think okay. Okay, a legit wish list. The number one place I've had these daydreams about playing in Germany.
Okay.
That's always a thing for me. Definitely overseas, right? Germany, Amsterdam,
Overseas.
Paris, the UK. Um, I love to travel the country because America. I love to travel the country because it kind of just shows you how vast it is, how different it is from coast to coast. So that's always fun. I don't know if I have dream cities. I guess Paris is my dream city, or Greece. That's a
Okay.
country. Well, yeah, somewhere in Greece.
Okay.
Definitely, definitely.
All right. And do you see yourself mentoring, or maybe do you already mentor young musicians?
Mentor. Yeah. I mean, sure. I do have a few young homies that I stay tapped in with. That I hear a lot of the projects that they're working on, some of the things that they're doing, making sure they're not making the same mistakes I made. Um, I think that's important. I think
Okay.
it's very important. So yeah, it's always important to me to make sure that the next generation, the next go around, gets it right. It's very, very important. I've always been about making sure that happens, and people don't have to deal with some of the same hurdles that I had to deal with just because I didn't know better.
Okay.
So yeah.
Okay. Have you shopped your music around for TV shows or movies? Or if you haven't, do you have, would you like that to happen?
I mean, yeah, for sure. I mean, that's something. Yeah, no brainer, right? That's that's something that the music that I've been doing over the pandemic has really been focused towards that. Really been focused towards sync licensing and things like that. Because that's important also.
Yes.
That's a whole nother stream of income, and that's one of the things that I try to tell the young homies. But that's very important. That's something that I'm very active in, and that's definitely something for the studio project that I don't want to say will be a focus, but I'm pretty sure I hope we will hear a few of our records on our favorite TV shows and some of the newest movies. It's definitely something that'll make me really happy.
Like we have to hear your music on the Shy, um,
Necessary.
or Chicago, the whole Chicago One brand. We need to hear
Necessary.
your music. So anyone out there listening, Chicago One,
Are
Wolfing
you
Until
listening? Let's
um,
do it. It's time to do it. We've been waiting long enough.
okay. And then I saw on Instagram where the South Side show is coming back. So I'm like,
Yeah,
we need to have your music on that.
we need
This
it.
show is
We
hilarious.
need those vibes. We need them. We need those vibes.
Yes. So
They know.
anyone out there with 6 degrees or less of separation is
They
in
know what's up.
Chicago.
They know
Look,
what's up. They
let's
know how
get
to
you.
find me. I low key don't live too far from where they film everything. I'm about a mile and a half away. They know where I'm
What?
at.
I'm gonna have to come stop and say it.
They
Look,
know
can I
where
come
I'm
stay at
at.
your house and go down the street to the studio?
I'm a mile and a half away. They can hear me talking right now.
Oh my goodness. Oh my goodness. Wow. This has been so amazing. Like I can't thank you enough for giving me your time, your energy. Like this has been my cheeks hurt from smiling so much. I just totally enjoyed this.
Wonderful.
I can't wait to hear more music. I love seeing the videos that you post on your Instagram. I love seeing someone who's passionate about their craft, and you don't mind showing the rawness of it all.
Nah.
So thank you for that.
I'm glad. I'm honored. I appreciate the opportunity. Thank you for having me. Like I said, to me it's all about this is just why I'm here. I really feel like this is why I'm here, just to make music and to affect the world the best way to my abilities. And that's through music, and that's through my craft and being a creative. I take my job seriously. I take my role seriously in this world. I realize we only have one life to live. So I can only do my best every single time. So thank you.
All right. So any final words, nuggets, gems you want to drop? Anyone out there listening? Any shout outs to anyone?
I feel like I've said so much, but
Okay.
I gotta give a shout out. I have to give a shout out to my daughter, Lena Denise Rogers.
Hi.
She is the best violinist under the age of 5. She just had a concert, and she did amazing. So I'm very proud about that. So yeah, the biggest shout out goes to her. She kind of made me focus a little bit more in life. So I'm so grateful for her. I'll never, ever, 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 ever stop loving her.
Awesome.
So that's my biggest shout out. That's all I got. I think I've done a whole lot of talking.
All righty. Well, I do want to thank you, and please give my love to the rest of the quartet. I would love to, meet them one day.
Sure.
Now that we're grown up and I can enjoy Chicago, hopefully I can get there.
Oh, we're open now. We open. I went to dinner the other day, and everybody didn't have a mask on.
Oh well.
I was the only one masked up. I said, "Oh my goodness."
I don't know if we're ready for that. But
I'm gonna
give it a year.
They open. I got to slow them down sometimes. I had to stop the ticket sales. I had to slow them down.
Oh well. Hopefully it definitely will not be in the wintertime. I'm gonna find the right time to come to Chicago. And
summertime shy is the best.
Summertime?
Summertime shy is the best. It's the best. It's been beautiful. Probably for the last week.
Okay.
But this definitely, the weather we have now definitely makes up for the terrible winters. I'd say. I mean, I've been here my whole life.
Okay.
And I can never get over the winter, but I always love the summer.
Okay. Awesome. Well, thank you so much, Mr. Jeff. And I just want to thank everyone for listening and for watching. Please make sure you like, share, follow, subscribe, all that jazz to the Q Spot podcast on YouTube and all the social media platforms, as well as the podcast platforms as well. So thank you, Mr. Jeff, for joining me. Thank you, everyone, for listening. Hope everyone has a great day. Don't forget to be intentional with your words, your thoughts, and your actions. And pink sugar kisses, y'all. Thank you for watching the Q Spot podcast video series. Don't forget to join the Q crew so you don't miss a beat. Follow, like, and share on all of my social media platforms, as well as the major podcast platforms. Lastly, be intentional with your words, your thoughts, and your actions.